Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show. I'm Mike Stansbury. Today we have with me Andy Hubba. Andy, tell us what market you're out of. Tell us a little bit about you. Yeah, let's go. Let's hear the origin story.
All right, thanks for having me. I'm based out of Virginia Beach, Virginia, but I have operated in the real estate ecosystem in the greater Southeast Virginia region. We go by a number of things: Hampton Roads, Tidewater. It's a little confusing, frankly. Coastal Virginia came up. I think that's about 10 years old now, and that's stuck fairly well. But I would say anywhere from Newport News, Williamsburg's a stretch, out to Suffolk, and then so Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Chesapeake, Hampton, Newport News, Portsmouth. Those are really kind of the hunting holes for what we're doing.
Really? So how many square miles is that? How big is that? It sounds like a lot of
it's
places.
I would say the metro area population it's going to be around 2 million.
2 million.
As far as miles, man, that's a good question. I'd say, I don't go down into Carolina. I'll refer stuff down there. I'd say it's probably 30, 40 miles is about right. If we did a quarter of a quadrant of a circle.
Gotcha. So, but 2 million is a good metric. That's a much. That's the right market that you serve. All right, so let's hear it. So how did real estate come in your radar? Tell me how that happened. How'd you get it in a brokerage, and what's that look like?
Yep. So got out of school, got a finance degree, did some interning at Morgan Stanley. Saw the first 6 months of that existence in the late 90s, or actually early 2000s. I don't want to date myself too much. Was cold calling for bond issues. And I realized real quick, man, sales is scary. That seems like a slow ladder to climb. So I didn't do that. I got into some retail management, having worked in retail through college, summers, breaks, stuff like that. Ended up opening a Subway restaurant with my brother in Lynnhaven Mall. If you're familiar with our area, Lynnhaven Mall is kind of a staple, although that model's dying. And
this is back when you could get a foot long for $5.
Yeah, well, actually, what's funny is it was before the $5 foot long. We so my parents relocated us from Northern Virginia, so I'm in an entrepreneurial family. They quit their jobs in Northern Virginia, moved us down here, bought one of the first Subway franchises in at least Southeast Virginia, if not Virginia. So kind of went all in on that model, had success with it, opened a second one, which was outside Lynnhaven Mall. Over the course of time, when I was graduating James Madison, they asked me if I had an interest in buying it. I really didn't. I worked there as a teenager. It was good to have a job and interact with folks, but I really have food and inventory and hourly waged employees. Man, kind of tough to really get by on without having enough outlets to scale. And so I said thanks, but no thanks. My brother ended up taking him up on that opportunity. They financed it. He did well. A couple of years go by, Subway reaches out, wants to have an outlet in the mall.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
And because of the territories, he had the first right. He said, man, I want to do it, but I don't really want to operate it. And so at that point, I had a little more perspective on how hard it was to make a buck. I said, man, I don't have money, but I'll sweat equity the thing. And so I did that. I worked at the outside store, making nothing, kind of learning the operation, from an operator perspective, not just a sandwich artist perspective. And we operated that and had some success. The leases were sick. The CAM charges were crazy. We sold it, though, as we got into real estate. So it was 2006. We bought an Exit Realty franchise. We still operate that today. I had no intentions of selling real estate. I was still afraid of sales. My brother had his license at the time, was doing stuff part-time while operating the, Subway gig. And after about a year or two selling real estate, I got licensed in 2007. I think I did, if I remember right, about 60,000 gross then, which to me was a lot of money then, in addition to the Subway money. So I think it was probably 7 or 8 was the first time I'd made 100,000. And so my eyes are wide open. I'm in my late 20s at this point. And so the Subway's kind of, the profitability is declining, costs are going up. And that's kind of where that $5 footlong was born. What can we do to spur sales? Well, we ended up selling it after we paid off the loan, and that worked out perfect. We sold close to the peak. It was about a year or two after we sold, the mall redeveloped, got rid of the second floor food court, and that outlet went away. The guy that bought it from us did not opt to sign a new lease downstairs, and it just into the ether it went. So really feel blessed to have gotten out at that time, and that enabled me to shift full focus into real estate. I'd been in maybe 2-3 years at that point, making six-figure GCI, was kind of second nature at that point, but I had not done an investor deal yet. So I was doing the same thing the other agents are doing, sphere of influence, who do you know that's looking to buy or sell, the networking events, just kind of immersing myself into traditional retail real estate. And, from there evolved into the first investor deal. And that's when the light bulb really went off.
All right. So yeah, everybody needs a niche, right? And so you have to, if you're doing that game for a while, it can get, well, some people can do it very, very well, but if you don't figure it out, you got to figure out what your niche is. So how did the first niche deal happen for you?
So being involved in the, I want to expose myself to folks in the real estate ecosystem. I'm seeing people rehabbing houses. I probably represented a couple of buyers on rehabs and said, man, it'd be cool to work with the guy on the other side of this deal. Searched out a guy who was doing the circuits and real estate training and was very forward. This is before Instagram. I think Facebook was probably around, but real estate was not nearly as accessible socially as it is now, or fingertips and digital. Reached out to him, and he's still active, still a client to this day. He had the acumen to be able to rehab and do deals, but not necessarily the capital at the time. So we found a deal that made sense for him. He JV'd with a guy who at the time was doing private lending and some rehabs here and there. They JV'd on a deal in Norfolk. It was close to the Elizabeth River in Norfolk. I'll never forget it. They blew the roof off. We called it a pop top for years.
Tops, yeah.
Yep. Did a pop top, reinvented the thing. The math worked. I got to just watch them do what they do. I didn't have to answer questions about the market. Once we came up with an ARV after repair value, they had the capital, they had the partnership, and we just sat idly by as they reinvented the house.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
They were done with it, photoed it, listed it. It sold right away. It kind of sold itself, which is not a bad place to be. Anything but the greatest salesperson in the world. And we sold that. And we said, man, that was cool. Let's, do this again. We have a sign in the yard. People are calling. We're getting leads. We're not paying for those leads. Let's do another one. And that snowballed into what we do today, which is really, operating as a matchmaker in the real estate investor ecosystem, which has been a fantastic niche.
Yeah. So what it sounds like to me is you got with people that were competent in the industry, and you're like, okay, I need more of this. And so as you did the first one and your first couple of them, now you have a resume now. And so talk to us about that. So how have you helped like maybe newbies in the business? Because we talked about this earlier before the podcast, because we always do that, folks. There's a little sizzle for you. We always talk to the guests first. And you mentioned that wholesalers contact you, but you're kind of wholesalers are always trying to obviously wholesale a deal, but you've got access to people that know that rehab, those big rehabs. And so you're able to, solve that problem for those wholesalers. Talk to me about those guys. And how have you helped them? How have you mentored them? What does that look like?
Yeah. So, and this is, a quick glimpse into that. I got the sales call earlier from the homes.com guy, so I'm on a list. Of course, I'm visible as a retail agent. He calls me. I can tell he's got good energy, like good tone. And that's a rough gig. I'm going to sit and make phone calls all day and try to get the agents to invest in, my 1 out of the 10 sales calls they got today. So he's talking to me. I said, man, if you'd called me 10 years ago, I might have been in a different position to look to allocate capital towards, lead gen or those platforms. They said, oh man, that's interesting, because I wholesale real estate too. I said, dude, call me when you're not on the homes.com dime. I'll go through what I do with wholesalers and kind of what my value add or value proposition is, which really is just giving away the knowledge I've accumulated over time. So, one of the same thing with the realtor, real estate agent environment, to where the barrier to entry is nothing. And so there's too many of us, God bless them all. And the challenge is that there's mass confusion, or there's too much availability for the service provider. And so you could be really good, but you kind of lose, you get lost in the static of, just another agent or just another investor, just another wholesaler. So what I learned over time is, man, I have the buyers. The MLS ebbs and flows with whether there's deals or not. I think anybody right now, unless they're pumping tons of money into the system, is suffering from deal scarcity right now. So the builders, the rehabbers I work with. So I'm working both ends of the spectrum. I thrive off of having access to off-market deals. Where do those off-market deals come from? Not the MLS.
Right.
I love the MLS. I need it, more so on the back end. But, so what I'm looking for is the guys who spend the time and energy to go on the appointments for the wholesale deals, contract hopefully at numbers that allow for there to be an assignment margin, to where there's back-end retail buyers that'll buy it. They make money for selling the paper. No problem. I'm never going to be critical of your margin. If you're making $100,000 or 100,000 people are making $1 each, I don't care. I want access to the off-market stuff. And if it's a deal, it's a deal. So the retail buyer needs to put on the blinders and ignore the assignment fee and just say, man, a deal, you're giving me a deal that I don't have to compete for. It's not a highest and best. It really is hey, if you can make it work at this number, I've got a relationship with the wholesaler. Let's make the world go round.
Isn't that interesting? You said something there, because I've had to do this as well. I've had some,
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
We've seen some pretty big assignment fees, but they always pencil. And so, have you had a client that says, "My goodness, we're paying this guy what for this thing?" And you just turn to him and say, "Hey, does it pencil or does it pencil?"
Yeah. So pencil is your term, right? So who freaking cares? Look, I want those guys to make money. I want them to be successful so that they're motivated to continue to go on those appointments, which are not easy to do. And those appointments, frankly, if you're paying attention, aren't free. A lot of the guys I know are pumping a lot of money into marketing to go on those appointments, and their conversion ratio, man, if it's 5%, they're crushing it. If it's 1 or 2%, it's probably average for the industry. So if I've got access to those guys, so the manner in which, what do I add to the wholesaler? Well, and this is where the new guys really can benefit from finding somebody in their market like me. I can't apply my skill set to every market, because you really need to know the market in and out to be able to calculate a legit ARV. The Zillow's estimate is not going to cut it, when you don't know that there's a, recycling facility 2 blocks away, or when the wind blows north, you're on the receiving end of that. Whatever it is, there's nuance in every market. So there, so what I do is I want the wholesalers to send me their appointments before they go on them. Hey, I've got 123 ABC Street. I'm meeting them Thursday at noon. Whether if it's a tear down or it could be a rehab, I'll analyze it both ways. Sometimes it's obvious it's one or the other. It's a lot. It's in too good of condition to make sense to tear down. So let's look at it just rehab. Whatever it is, I will volunteer the time to dissect it and provide that analysis. Hey, if you leave it as a 3-1, the ARV is 240. If you can squeeze a second bath out of it, make a true master suite. Excuse me, let's edit that. Primary suite. Times are changing.
Times are changing.
Yeah. And then we could then instead of 240, whatever number I said, we can get 275. Well, if it's feasible and it costs you $12,000 to get that second bath, the return on that $12,000 is 350%. It may take a little more time. It may take a little more capital, but here's the options, and these are real options. I could ask a few of the guys that I've done, dozens, if not 100 deals with, what is my sales price to suggested ARV on the front end ratio? Like, what sales price are we realizing versus my suggested ARV? It's over 100%. And so what I don't want to do is gamble with somebody else's money. If it's a deal, let's do it. If it isn't a deal, the commission on the back end is not worth it to me to burn a relationship.
Right.
I should never make more as the retail agent than my investor client. If the deal's that skinny, don't do it. I'm never going to sell you on it. I only want everybody to make money so that they want to do it again.
Right. So it's repeatable.
Yeah.
So, folks, if you're in the Virginia Beach, in that area, you got to talk to Andy, especially if you're a wholesaler. You got to connect with him, because that is a great service that you provide. And that's something that I think that we will kind of lead with, is that if you're somebody that's a professional in an area and you can connect people like you're doing, Andy, I think that is something that's a superpower. That's something to have in your quiver, because again, repeatable business. You mentioned that other realtors are just going after everybody. Everybody doesn't buy a house every, I guess, what was the every 7 years, I think.
Yeah, that's the number that is, the industry number for sure.
Right. And the culture, I think, is changing on that. We'll see what that looks like. But you are more interested in, hey, I want to feed my rehabbers. I want to feed my builders.
Yeah.
I want to do more pop tops, and I want to make sure that they're getting the best deals. And so you connect with the folks that are getting those deals. So that's great. I love it, Andy. That is something I think our our audience needs to hear. Now let's hear a little bit about you personally. Tell us about, what's your family look like? What's day to day Andy look like? What are things that Andy likes to do in life besides connecting?
Yeah, just like you, I'm a proud father of more than just one. We've got five kids, which is great. 14-year-old son, 12-year-old, 10-year-old, 10-year-old, 2.5-year-old daughters, which certainly keep me motivated to go out and hunt down the next deal. My wife Lee, we've been together about 18 years, and we're a Catholic family, so certainly understand and appreciate the fact that we're here for a finite amount of time, and it's best to make every effort to leave this place better than how we found it. The world does not revolve around me. I do thank God every day that I'm not wired to be material. You can see I'm casual every day, not just casual Friday. I'll get dressed up here and there, but more so for social events than from the angle of I feel like I need to have a facade at this point. Yeah, I've been blessed to, if you look up my MLS stats, somewhere in this is not something I track specifically, but somewhere in the 12 to 1300 MLS sales over 18 years. And if I include the private sales, well over 1,500. And, I'm driven to, set my kids up. They have accounts and, assets and things that they don't even know about. So I'm trying to coach them on, character and less, material and buy. And, I certainly exemplify that through, personal choices, but, it's great. Like I think I'd shared with you before in the equities markets, these, downturns, are exciting to a degree to maybe, acquire versus, living in fear of loss or, there's plenty out there for everybody, but, so in terms of, hobbies, I really, I was at the gym. I pulled up in 158 and hopped right on the computer, but, trying to stay healthy and have some longevity, but more experiences. We're traveling to Europe this year, and we like cruising and making memories more so than
a cruise family. This is
yeah,
good. I like it.
We love the captive audience, and there's a little something for everybody.
Yes.
Shout out to Royal Caribbean.
Yes, that's I didn't think I'd be a cruise person, but I went on. So I was anti-Disney and anti-cruise until I went to Disney, and then I went on a cruise. I'm like, okay, now I get it. I get it.
I have heard the Disney cruises are surprisingly enjoyable for the adults.
Well, they were. We did one about 6 years ago. It was again, it didn't pencil. It was like, that's expensive.
Yeah.
But afterward, Andy, I'm telling you, it was worth it. I was like, okay, that was worth it. They did excellent. So if you can put that on the list of to-dos, that'd be good. Big fan of the Disney cruise. We've only done one.
Yeah.
Because what happened was the kids grew up pretty fast. And then
that's the other thing is, I'm blessed to have I've been part of Entrepreneurs Organization, which is a global entity, but it's a, entrepreneurs, fraternities underselling it. But it was just a network of like-minded, small, medium-sized business owners. And so I've been doing that for 18 years. So I was in my late 20s and I was always the young guy. I'm 46 now, although I feel like I'm the same guy.
Yes, you are. You are.
The visual evidence around me proves otherwise, as my friends, single digit kids are now out of college and professionals, and so that's sobering, but it does give me the perspective. And I was on your social earlier. You watch how quickly the days are fast, the years are long, whatever the saying is. It's so true as you see that and position yourself. And then I've had friends who have done the travel with the kids, and then, they plan a international trip that they're all excited about, and their 15-year-old says, I guess I kind of want to hang out with my friends. And man, it's that little window of time where they're excited about it and you're still cool. That window closes quick. So, we're heading to Italy and Europe and doing a cruise and
they'll love it.
And an Italian Airbnb. So trying to squeeze it all in. With 2 to 14, that won't necessarily be easy, but certainly going to make some lifelong memories. And I'd rather invest there than, the wheels or the watches or whatever.
Yes.
But
Yeah, that's the same, and that really is cool. And I love for people to hear that is we have so many people in our industry, well, in every industry, they flash it. I want to hear, what do your kids think about you? What kind of experiences are you having with your kids to
Yeah.
make not just memories, but character development and things like that. And that happens a lot when you're with them
Yeah.
24/7 on a trip. You get that intentional time. That's awesome. That is really cool that you're going to Europe with
Yeah. I
your
mean,
kids. They'll love it.
the euro getting more expensive with this whole, the timing there is a little tough, but it's not it's a meaningless delta on the conversion there, but yeah, we can laugh about it. At least that's a blessing.
Yes, that's great. So, okay, so real estate hobbies, just working out, and you got 5 kids. I'm with you. I don't have a lot of hobbies. I have a brother that golfs a lot. He asked me to golf. I have no time to golf.
Yeah.
I wish I did. But so that's it. Just working out and hanging with the kids and
Yeah.
doing
I mean,
life.
I like to, long term would be the, stocks and, having the finance degree, we're pretty well rounded there. So I do invest a decent amount of time. I wouldn't say I'm a trader. I'm more of an investor, but, certainly trying to stay ahead of that and take advantage of what is still a time horizon that affords for, compound interest and those things to reward us when we get closer to slowing down. I don't think it's too physically easy to do what I do primarily, which is get to the back end of the real estate sales. As the price of houses has gone up, and if you're making 2.5 to 3%, even though the value of what you're selling has doubled naturally over 5 or 6 years, it's hard to complain. So as long as I can mentally keep up with it, which for now is, easy. I don't really have a retirement goal because I like what I do.
Right.
If I slow down and only work with a few guys or whatever that may
Yeah.
be, or evolve into being the JV and,
Yeah, Andy,
build or
there it
whatever,
is.
it's all on the table. Private lending, we're getting into that more,
Yeah.
so,
There's always that you stair step to
yeah,
the guy in our market is he's done, and he's just done doing private lending,
yeah,
having a great time.
yeah.
So Andy, tell us a little bit about just for our audience, you were part of the Entrepreneur. That's is that a club, or what was that, or what kind of continuing education do you continue to do? Are you part of any groups like that, or what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just now joining the board of the Virginia Beach SPCA, which is exciting. A longtime friend and builder client, recruited me to that. And yeah, I know I'm at a place where, especially with the market not being as hyperactive as it's been, I've got time. I don't define any of that as free time because, none of it's free, but, doing that and, Entrepreneurs Organization's good. We got a chapter-wide meeting this Friday, kind of a state of the chapter. There's probably, man, it's grown. I think we've probably got 80, 90 members in there now. Their businesses are in Southeast Virginia, but there's international travel opportunities, education opportunities all the time. Both digitally, but also physically, regionally, Nerves in Atlantic City this year. That'll kind of a convention of entrepreneurs that get together, and the energy in those rooms and groups is pretty fantastic, and it's been good because it's pretty much an automatic qualifier. So I could go into the EO network right now and find somebody in any of the markets where there's EO chapters, and by introducing myself as an EO member, it almost automatically opens a door, for me to be able to gain insight or get some meaningful time, from guys who would otherwise be getting bombarded with, random LinkedIn messages or whatever it would be. When I was in LinkedIn the other day, and I don't know, I probably had 10 or 20 unread messages, things that aren't applicable at all, could be bot driven, I don't really know. And then there's a couple guys that say, hey, I'm in EO, whatever the area is, and all of a sudden I'm actually going to click on that one and read it. And if it doesn't apply or there's nothing I can, do, I may leverage my network to try to make a connection, or if nothing else, at least respond, to the message in a meaningful way and say, hey man, this isn't something that, fits me now, but, I hope things are well. And if anything changes in the future, it's just kind of a, almost a litmus test for there's EO Accelerator, which is if you're in your, you're a small business, but you haven't met the $1 million annual sales goal, which is kind of the floor for Entrepreneurs Organization, which has been the same since I got in. Yeah, it's probably appropriate for a reset,
Never
but still,
adjusted for inflation.
yeah, never adjusted. Yeah, exactly. And that could be, if you're, technically, if you're, building houses and you sell 2 houses at 500,000, does your company have 100,000 revenue? It's not a profit number. It's a, gross revenue number. So for some industries, that's, if you're in a digitally based, I've got a buddy that's in, he's got a digital marketing agency. The margins there can be incredible, but it takes a lot more contracts and, to reach that threshold versus, somebody doing, $40,000, $50,000 room additions or whatever it may be. But, so that's really the one thing that I've committed to and invested in over time that has helped, me both establish new clients in the space. I mentioned some names earlier to you. And one of those, I remember years ago, his son is maybe a year and a half older than my son Cruz. And we were familiar with each other in the industry, and he was a Homevestors franchisee then. And we were familiar with each other, but we're at Star of the Sea Catholic Church at the same table doing the baptism classes for the parents of the new kids. And I recognized him and I said, "Hey man, I'm pretty sure we're in EO together." And we spent a lot of time together and we were neighbors for a long time. He's, moved to a different part of Virginia Beach, but awesome guy. Really established trust and friendship, if nothing else, through that as an initial introductory bridge. And I can't tell you how many, deals we've done together. My parents are involved in private lending with one of his outfits. And so it's really just amazing to look back and see how one connection,
right,
where both people are selfless, nobody's out to get anybody, happy to give without the expectation of get. It's amazing how fruitful those relationships can be versus the, what's in it for you, or, just the, we operate in a manner that is so trusting, that there's zero doubt, no seeds of doubt. And those are the relationships that, I really love. Those are my long term.
Yes. And you got to go out there and seek those. And that's why I was asking the question about the organizations, because one of the things that what they try to do at the Investor Fuel family is they try to connect investors and to have that same mindset of, hey, how do we give to each other so we can help somebody in a different market? Because a lot of people, one of the problems that I think that you solved, and which actually it's not a problem. It's like, oh, you can upgrade kind of what you're doing, is by being a connector like you are. It's like, oh, okay, I can do that in my market. So you've kind of illuminated that. But going to those organizations like the EO, meeting somebody, and then you never know what that's going to lead to. So that's really good stuff. Andy, where can people find you, find your brokerage? Talk to us about that before we wrap this show up. We did 30 minutes and it felt like 10.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. I appreciate it. So I'm blessed to have a unique last name, Hubba. I tell people all the time, like Hubba Bubba, because they want to make it, Hubba or Hubbard, and they think I misspoke. But I've got a dad of a previous client who swears he went to school in Pennsylvania with a guy named Andy Hubba. Now, my dad is from North Central PA. I've tried to find the guy. A lot of that predates the internet. So you can Google me, Andy Hubba, and I'll be everywhere on at least the first few pages. But AndyHubba.com is my website. Exit Realty Professionals is my real estate brokerage in Virginia Beach. And, like I said, the easiest thing is just Google my name and you'll find all the channels to connect. I'd be happy to. You'll see. I tell people all the time, I'm a sales guy. I get it. Every salesperson is going to say nice things about themselves. Just, I can't beat the internet. If I'm a schmuck, you'll figure it out, So, and then what I want is to get to the end of a deal, have the things I told you be proven as true through your own experience, and then have you refer me, to other people organically versus, feeling like I've got to sell somebody or convince anything of anybody. I'm happy to not be in a position to have to do that.
Well, Andy Hubba, thanks for being part of the Real Estate Pros podcast. Folks, we will see you later. Catch you on the other side.
Michael, you're the man. Thanks, man.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.